For the vast majority of human history, every single city on Earth was built at the exact same scale. It was the distance a human could comfortably travel on foot.
But today, out of the top 50 most walkable cities in the world, 45 are in Europe. 0 are in the United States. In fact, only about 8% of Americans live in neighborhoods where they can easily walk to their daily needs. So, what exactly happened? Why did an entire country suddenly decide to stop walking? Why did they bulldoze their pedestrian infrastructure to rebuild their entire landscape for 2-ton machines?
Most people assume it is just simple geography. America is massive, things are spread out, and Americans naturally fell in love with car culture after Henry Ford mass-produced the Model T. We assume that Americans simply chose the car over the sidewalk.
But that is not exactly true. It was not a natural cultural evolution. Building walkable neighborhoods did not just go out of style. It was literally made illegal by the government.
To understand why, you have to look at a single Supreme Court case from 1926. The village of Euclid, Ohio, was trying to stop the industrial sprawl of Cleveland. They wanted to keep loud, dirty factories out of quiet residential neighborhoods. So they created a revolutionary new tool called a zoning map. A real estate developer sued them. He argued that the government had no right to tell him what he could build on his own private property. The case went all the way to the Supreme Court, and the village won. This landmark ruling legally cemented something called single-use zoning. Instead of mixing shops, apartments, and offices together like traditional cities, American law began strictly separating where people live from where they work and shop. Over time, this forced homes and businesses to be built miles apart. It made walking virtually impossible.
But making the distance longer was only half the problem. They also had to steal the streets. Before the 1920s, city streets belonged entirely to pedestrians. People walked, kids played, and vendors sold goods right in the middle of the road. When the first automobiles arrived, they were seen as dangerous, violent intruders. Cars were killing people, and the public was furious. To save their product, the auto industry launched a massive public relations campaign. They needed a way to blame the pedestrians for getting hit. So they popularized a new concept called jaywalking. At the time, a jay was an insulting slang term for an uneducated rural person. Auto groups lobbied local governments to pass strict laws making it illegal to walk in the street. They successfully reclassified the oldest human transportation method as a literal crime.
Then came the post-war boom and the Federal Aid Highway Act of 1956. The government poured billions of dollars into building interstate highways. These massive concrete rivers were plowed directly through the center of walkable urban neighborhoods. They bulldozed thousands of homes to prioritize suburban commuters.
And when those commuters arrived, they needed a place to put their cars. City zoning codes began enforcing strict minimum parking requirements. Businesses were legally forced to provide massive amounts of off-street parking. Today, the United States has an estimated 2 billion parking spaces. That is roughly 6 parking spots for every single car in the country. Most of those spaces sit completely empty for the majority of the year, but developers still have to pave them by law. This sea of asphalt pushes buildings incredibly far apart. It destroys the dense, comfortable fabric required for a human to walk safely. All of this design culminated in the creation of the American stroad. A stroad is a dangerous hybrid of a street and a road. A street is supposed to be a slow-moving environment with life, business, and pedestrians. A road is a high-speed connection designed to move you between two places quickly. A stroad tries to be both
and fails miserably at both. They feature high speed limits, multiple lanes, and dozens of business driveways. Walking along a stroad feels terrifying. There are rarely crosswalks or shaded trees, because you are completely exposed to heavy, fast-moving traffic with zero protection. In many modern American suburbs, developers are not even required to build sidewalks. You can legally build an entire residential subdivision that isolates humans from the outside world.
This reveals something incredible about modern American life. Our daily habits are not always free choices. They are dictated by the physical infrastructure around us. By eliminating the simple ability to walk, America accidentally created a hidden tax. To participate in society, you must own an expensive, depreciating machine. Paying for gas, insurance, and maintenance is essentially a mandatory subscription fee for American life. If you cannot afford a car, you are effectively trapped.
The United States did not stop walking because Americans are lazy. It did not happen because the country is simply too large. Nobody walks in most American cities because the laws, the economics, and the concrete itself were explicitly engineered to make sure they could not. Walking did not die a natural death in America. It was engineered out of existence.